and welcome to this week's musing video. I hope you're really well and that you've had a good week so far. This week we're going to be talking about life purpose. So I just want to be clear from the start, we're talking about outer purpose. Now, the reason I want to distinguish between inner purpose and outer purpose, our life purpose is to be ourselves, to be our clearest, brightest, most ambient light that is ourselves. So your main purpose in life is you're already doing it, is to be you. However, this can get very foggy, and we can create lots of walls and veils and layers that go around us. So we can worry about what our family thinks. There's one veil. We can worry about what society thinks. There's another veil. We can worry about what that person said to us when we were 8. There's another veil. You know, so we have all these stories and all of this junk really that can get in the way and cast a shadow over our light or block our light in some way. So the main thing to know about finding your life purpose is just to be you. Now, what does that mean, to be you? Just because I know that sounds obvious, but that was one of the things I thought when I heard that. I thought, well, what does it really mean to be you? Because often we get so identified with stories about our expectations, family or society or cultural or whatever, that it's hard to differentiate between what's us and what's expectation. Because often we can desire something, but it's not really because it's who we are. It's because we think that other people are going to see us in a more favourable light if we have that thing or we act in a certain way. So being you is about being, imagine that you is a beacon of light. And what you want is that light to come straight out of you as clearly and uninterruptedly as possible, okay? So this is joy. So when you are in joy, when your mind is switched off, you know, when you get lost in something, when you find that you have lost all track of time and of thought processes, you know, you might be thinking as you're doing it. So for me, one of the things is writing. So I'm thinking, but not in, I'm totally lost in what I'm doing. I think that's the key. Being lost in it, being in joy, feeling that energy, feeling totally connected, feeling like, you know, just so wonderful. That's what is you, okay? So let's talk about why I probably think that you've come to this video. Why I think you've probably come to this video, which is more about life purpose in terms of an outer purpose. So how do I find out what I want to do in my life? How do I give my life meaning? How do I feel better and feel more purposeful in my everyday life? Okay. Well, really, the answer is an extension to what I've just said. You're already being you, so you're doing your inner life purpose. That's your inner purpose, okay? And the more authentic you can be, the more you're living your purpose, okay? So the more brightly you shine your light, the more uninterruptedly you shine your light, the better. So the first question to really ask yourself, and the only thing to really need to ask yourself, is what feels like play to me? So think, what gives you joy? What would you do all day? What is it that it really makes you feel like you're playing? Enjoy, you know, and it gives you that joy feeling. So that is the crucial thing. So for some of you, you can kind of almost stop now and think, oh, okay, I know what it is, all right? And that's going to help you a lot. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure lots of people will be thinking, well, it's okay, I know what I like to do, but how am I going to make that into a career? Or how am I going to sort of unfold that in my life? That's a different video, and I will probably do a video on that. But what we're talking about now is how to connect with a sense of your life purpose or your mission, okay? And how to get an idea of how to move forwards with that. Can I just say though, I will probably do a video on how to unfold your life purpose in your life, but do remember that the universe, God, can guide this for you. So really all you ever need to do is to be intuitive, to listen, to meditate, to go into that still place, and to be really focused on following your inner light and following your guidance, because Source will automatically guide you there anyway, okay? So let's go back to the original thing. So we know we need to play, we know we need to be in our inner light. Okay, so how can I, if I'm still not getting anywhere, if I'm still unsure about what is my inner light, you know, and what inspires it, let's talk about some ways that you can, and some scenarios that you can imagine that will help you to come to that understanding. Most of them are kind of obvious and you've heard them a lot of times before. First one is, if I had £1 million or dollars, what would I do? Because a lot of the time we feel restricted by a need to pay the bills or to provide for our families or whatever. And I'm not saying that's not important, of course not. But we're imagining that that responsibility is taken away. So you have the freedom, the financial freedom to do whatever you want. What would you do? The second one is obvious. If I could have anything, what would I have? If I could do anything, what would I do? I know it sounds obvious. You know, well, of course I've asked myself that, but have you? Have you? Or have you just thought about what is possible? What you believe at this moment is possible? Okay, so really allow your mind to go crazy. Allow the world to become, you know, your playground, and think about what, if you could have or do anything, what would it be? The third thing is really, really interesting. What did I love to do as a child? Now, for me, as a child, I loved to teach. I used to set up schools all the time, and the main thing for me was I loved to write. I regularly chose not to go and play with friends, but I would sit and write stories. And I spent a huge amount of my childhood doing that. So that was already in me, and there are a lot of clues in our childhood. It's not always evident in our childhood, but a lot of the time when we're children, our core essence is a lot less filtered than it is as we get older. So you may find some clues here. So think about, as a child, what did you really love to do? The fourth one is, what would I do if I had a week off with no responsibilities? And add into that, if you like, an unlimited funds. What would I do? Again, this is going to show you that if I had freedom, what would I do? A lot of the time we make this a lot more complicated than it is, because we're so aware of how it can be practical. So there's almost like, before we even start to think about it, we've already decided, well, this option, this option, this option, this option, this option aren't possible, because how would I make that happen? Okay, so we're trying to get rid of all of that thinking, and we're just going to our original nature and saying, if I had all the money, if I had all the freedom, what would I do? The fifth one I think is the most important one, because the first four, they're great, and I hope that they may have helped some of you. But for me, when I was thinking about this, those things I kind of already done a lot. The fifth one I thought was really, really interesting for getting around the mind interfering, because often the mind will interfere with this process and tell you that you don't want something because it can't see a practical way to do it. So the fifth point is really, really helpful. Who or what do I most admire? So look around. It can be fictional characters in books, in movies, on TV shows. It can be personalities. It might be a sporting person. It might be a family member. It might be friends. It might be people you know. It might be teachers. Anybody. Who do you admire? If I said to you now, list me 5 people, 10 people, as many as you want, that you really admire, and list why. What qualities do they have? What sort of life do they have? You may well find that therein lies the nugget, because you're drawn to people who do you aspire to be, essentially. You're drawn to people that you feel there's a quality in that you admire. Now, you know, you might have a favourite movie star, and it doesn't mean that you should be a movie star, but you'll see, I think it's important to have a few, because you'll see traits in those people. So look at what they're doing. What is that characteristic, or what are those personality traits that you are really drawn to? Because the chances are you have them as well, and that they may be a bit dormant in you. So it might be that you see yourself as quite shy and quite quiet, but you're really drawn to people who are really larger than life and who are really showmen or showwomen, you know. So do look there, because I think looking at people that you admire gets around this part of our mind that likes to be very practical. Also, if you have a little bit of a low self-esteem, or you feel like you lack a bit of confidence, you might automatically almost feel too embarrassed to admit to yourself, this is what I want to do with my life, okay? But if you list 5 people who are all healers in a particular area, or they're all healers and they have a certain quality, you might think, oh, hang on, that's what I want to do. That's who I feel called to be a healer. Do you see what I mean? I don't know whether I'm explaining myself very well, but I'm sure you'll get the point anyway. So I would say that the 5th point is a really good one, and it really helped me. Anyway, try these tricks and tips, and I hope that you feel somewhat clearer about your life purpose. Do let me know what you think of the video. So much love to you, and I'll see you next week. Mwah.